Hi folks, I am Dr. Robin and I'm back for a new episode of K-Pop Science EDU. In the latest Run BTS episode, the guys are designing target t-shirts for their fencing duels when Jungkook says that he used Neuron's law to help design his targets. Now, RM corrects him and says, oh, he meant Newton's law, and they kind of laugh at him, but what is Newton's law and could it be useful in designing the targets? I would say so. Let's check out the clip.
자, 이런 거 전략적으로 가야 됩니다, 여러분들. 가장 높은 점수를 내 얼굴을 못 찍게.
2, 4, 6, 8, 10. 아니면 딱 어깨, 명치, 하단 이렇게 가면 되는 거 아니야? 잠시만, 내가 이렇게 있을 거 아니야? 있는 게 아니에요?
있는 게 아니야.
자, 이제 그거를 저희가 걷어갈게요.
아, 이것도 랜덤인 거예요?
아, 나 진짜 좋게 했는데 그 약간 그
나도 이거 너무 전략적으로.
너도 왼쪽으로 몰았네.
약간 양자역학
너
그런
높은
걸로
점수.
딱 했는데
양자역학에
그 약간 뉴런의 법칙적으로 가가지고 딱 한 건데
뉴런의 법칙,
뉴런의 법칙.
뉴턴의 법칙 아니야?
이런.
So what is Newton's law? There are actually three of them. Newton's first law is about inertia. The first law states that an object at rest will remain at rest and an object in motion remains in motion at constant speed and in a straight line unless acted on by an unbalanced force. So what does that mean? Well, for the first part, I think you can imagine that an object just sitting on the ground in front of you is not going to move unless something pushes it or pulls it. That's the part where an object at rest is just going to stay at rest unless it's acted on by a force. Now, what about the other part? Well, imagine that there's an object on the car seat next to you. As you're driving along at 65 miles per hour, that object is also going 65 miles per hour. If you then stop suddenly, that object will continue to move at 65 miles per hour in a straight line until acted on by another force. So it might move forward, hit the dashboard, and fall to the ground. This is why seatbelts are so important. An object in motion will remain in motion in a straight line at a constant speed unless something stops it. So in this case, we want the seatbelt to hold us to the seat and stop us from moving forward versus the windshield from stopping us from going through the windshield. So could this be useful in helping to design the targets? Absolutely. Newton's first law says that the fencing sword will remain in motion until acted upon by the opponent's body. So if you're going to design your targets, you want them to be in a spot where the opponent's body is going to stop the fencing sword's motion. Or if you're thinking defensively, you want your targets to be where they're not going to stop the fencing sword's motion. Newton's second law is about force. The second law states that the acceleration of an object depends on the mass of the object and the amount of force applied. Now this one you really already know too. The second law says that the acceleration, or how quickly you can change the speed of something, depends on the mass of that object and how much force you're applying. So if you want to use all of your strength to throw an object across the room, you can throw a tennis ball more quickly than you're going to throw a heavy medicine ball. Now I'm not sure how much this would be involved in target design. The second law would say that using more force would cause the fencing sword to move more quickly, so it's definitely involved in fencing, but right now I'm going to say it's not involved in target design. And Newton's third law is about action and reaction. The third law states that whenever one object exerts a force on another object, the second object exerts an equal and opposite force on the first. We often hear this said as, for every action there is an equal and opposite reaction. Now this one's pretty fundamental to our lives, but we really don't think about it that much. A really common example is walking. As you're walking along a surface, your feet are pushing down on that surface, but the surface is also pushing back up on your feet. Otherwise, you would sink into the surface. Now, you can tell the difference between when you're walking on a really solid ground versus when you're walking on sand. The solid surface is pushing back up on your feet more strongly. So again, I think this is a really important part of target design. The third law says that anything the sword hits will push back with an equal amount of force. So you want to design the targets on a part of the opponent's body that can push back well and lead to the maximum amount of paint transfer. Or if you're thinking defensively, you want the targets to be on a spot that won't push back as well. So although I know that Jungkook was joking when he said he used Newton's law to design his targets, I think maybe instinctively he kind of did. And do I care that he called it Neuron's law instead of Newton's law? As a scientist and as a teacher, I really think understanding the concept is more important than getting the name right. So that is it. Until next time, keep listening and keep learning. 감사합니다.